Them numbers don't lie, you know. The cost of enslavement in Barbados was paid off blood, sweat, and stolen lives, from the villages of Africa to the brutal cane fields in the Caribbean, right here in Barbados. Today, we're going to go deep into the statistics, the suffering, and the systems that were built off we ancestors back. This is counting the cost of enslavement in Barbados. And before I continue, don't forget to like, share, and do all the things that you know that you can do in order to spread the word. Because we got to build up the names of we ancestors. We cannot forget. We stand on their shoulders. Let me continue. From 1627 to 1807, 387,000 enslaved Africans were shipped to Barbados. I repeat, 387,000 Africans were shipped to Barbados. But another question is, how many survived the journey? How many actually lived to see the shores? The numbers are staggering. An estimated 10 to 20% of enslaved people passed away during the Middle Passage. How did they do so? Drowning, disease, starvation, brutality, all of that took them lives before they can even reach the auction block. Out of every 100 people taken from Africa, only 48 made it to enslavement. The rest? Gone. Wondering about the origins of one of our ancestors and just how many of them there were? Take a listen. Baita Biafra, where you get the Igbo and the Ifik and Ibibo, 62,000 people. The Gold Coast, where you get the Akan, the Ashanti, and the Fanti, 59,000 people. The Bight of Benin, where you get the Yoruba, Fon, and Ewe, 45,000 people. West Central Africa, where you get Congo, Bundu, and Bakongo, 29,000 people. Senegambia, Windward Coast, and Sierra Leone, 37,000 people. I want one to remember that this wasn't a migration. This was human trafficking. It was actually a war against people, an industry of suffering, all fueled by greed. In case someone want to think that we really needed this. Most enslaved Bajans lived in really dire living conditions. Tiny, overcrowded huts made of wattle and dub with dirt floors and little ventilation. Rats and bear vermin, disease galore. The food rations, you did get salt fish and cornmeal, and we accustomed to that, but you did get scraps too. The planters gave the food, but only enough to keep them alive. They didn't want them to actually feel nourished and healthy. An average enslaved person in Barbados only lived 7 to 10 years on a sugar plantation. The infant mortality? Well, nearly half of all the enslaved children passed away before 5. The overall lifespan? Many didn't live to see past their mid-20s or early 30s. The point is that enslaved Bajans were treated like machines and run down until they broke, and then they were replaced. You can check out on some of my past episodes where we talked more on that. Essentially, in Barbados, slavery was the business of human lives. Sugar made Barbados the wealthiest British colony of the 1600s. Imagine that. Planter families like, and it's in history, so don't come for me, Drax, Codrington, Beckford, and LaSalle's made millions, and this is in that day. By 1668, Barbados's sugar exports alone were worth £180,000, more profitable than Virginia and New England combined. You would then wonder if things actually balanced out because they had to purchase the labor. In the 1650s, an enslaved African cost £7 to £10. In 1700s, a prime field worker in Barbados cost £40 to £50. In the 1800s, the prices soared to over £100. Let me just let us sink in for a minute, yeah? All right, let me move on. Sugar mills and boiling houses were massive investments, apparently, but the profits did outweigh the costs. In 1750, Barbados had 491 sugar plantations and 506 windmills, grinding the profits out of black labor. Even in the midst of all of this, we ancestors did resist. Runways, work slowed down, sabotage. Every act was one of defiance. But a little something in the planters' food, crop burning, secret African rituals. They even had fire rebellions where the cane fields did burn while the enslaved people fought back. Let me stop to pay homage to the biggest rebellion in Barbados, the 1816 rebellion with Bussa and Nanny Grigg. Over 70 plantations rose up. There was fierce fighting for 3 days, but unfortunately, it came to a brutal end. 214 of we ancestors did unalive. 170 of we ancestors did exiled, and countless of them did torture and whip. But I need to repeat, even in the worst conditions, we fought back, whether it be outright or silently. The spirit never died. So now we're going on from chains to change. Unlike what we would rather believe, emancipation in 1834 didn't mean true freedom at all. The plantations kept control through unfair wages. The British compensation scandal. Wanna know about that one? Where planters got paid, keep your ears pricked, £20 million in that day for losing their enslaved people. But of course, we ancestors got nothing. I won't know how much longer I'm going to go on for though. But anyway, let me continue. Systemic inequality lasted for generations. Land ownership, wealth, and the opportunity remained in the planters' hands. I want to ask one of this question. What really is the true cause of the enslavement? I think it was the destruction of we families, the erasure of we identity, the economic stranglehold that's still affecting we Bajans today. Bajans Pandinet, we must remember. We must count the cost. We must ensure that history is told truthfully. From the shores of Africa straight to the streets of Bridgetown today, the legacy of slavery still shapes us, but it ain't just that. It's also the strength of we ancestors upon whose shoulders we stand. This is Let We Call It We Base Story. I'm Zana Monique. Remember, respect, and revive. And I can talk to one in the next episode.